Hi, this is Frank Taylor with Nature at Your Door, and I'm here today, October 23rd, 2024, in the Shenandoah National Park, hiking just off the Appalachian Trail to Chimney Rocks. And this episode is going to be a little bit about American chestnuts, the tree that was once 4.5 billion trees in the eastern forests of the United States and now are essentially extinct, except for these vigorous sprouts that keep trying to come back to life. Stay tuned for this episode. Right here in your backyard, you never know what you're going to find. So I'm standing here with an American chestnut here that is sprouting up from the ground. It's just unbelievable, the tenacity of life. This is 2024. Most of these trees went extinct and died from a fungus between 1900 and 1920. There are essentially no adult trees or mature trees left. A few trees make it to the point of flowering, but most trees die long before they get a chance to be mature enough to flower and produce seeds. I actually have one in my backyard that has flowered and had produced seeds, but it's now in decline. It's been 3 or 4 years since it's done that. Here in Shenandoah National Park, you can see many chestnut trees like this sprouting from the ground, and they're sprouting from the roots of a tree that were produced probably over 100 years ago or lived over 100 years ago. These sprouts come up from those roots, and one of the characteristics of American chestnut, it was very resistant to decay. So it's not all that surprising that these roots are still not decayed and producing new sprouts and new shoots coming up like this one right here. The fungus only works above ground, and when a tree like this one here sprouting up, here's a young tree that is sprouted up from the ground. Again, I'm tracing it down to the ground where this healthy tree has sprouted up. The fungus hasn't hit it yet. The fungus only destroys and only acts on trees above the ground. But right here next to it, you can see a tree. This is also an American chestnut. This one sprouted several years ago and has succumbed to the fungus. Here is another American chestnut that sprouted right from the ground, and it too has succumbed to the fungus already. This one, the one here, while currently healthy, will be another year or two before it succumbs to the fungus as well. So the fungus was originally introduced pre-1900 into some specimens of trees imported from Asia, and this fungus began to spread rapidly across eastern forests. 4.5 billion chestnut trees. Some of them would have trunk diameters of 6 or 8 or even 10 feet. Huge trees. They produce an abundant crop of chestnuts every year, unlike acorns that are produced on cycles every 4 or 5 years. There were so many blossoms on the trees that it looked like snow across the mountaintops. In some places, chestnuts made up to 70% of the eastern forest, all down along the chain of the Appalachians. The fruit they produced, the chestnut, was rich in protein. It was so important for wildlife and the mountain peoples of the Appalachian who raised hogs and just let them run loose in the forest, fattening up on this. Peoples of the Appalachians also used the American chestnut as a cash crop, and trainload cars would come out and carry chestnuts out of the Appalachian Mountains to markets in the major cities. I just had to do this video today because as I'm walking down the trail, I keep coming across this amazing tree that's fighting for life, fighting to survive. I'm just amazed and impressed by its tenacity and the vigorousness of life and how nature just keeps keeping on. But none of these trees, have yet to beat out the fungus. And there's various prongs of research trying to find a solution to this problem. Check out my other video on American chestnut trees, and also where I compare the history of the American chestnut to history of chestnut trees in Switzerland, where my family's actually from. The history of these trees is remarkable, both in terms of ecology and human history. It was just an amazing, amazing tree like no other. The loss of this tree is considered in forestry to be the greatest forestry disaster in the history of the world. No one has ever seen an extinction of 4.5 billion trees happen so fast and so completely as this extinction. Just incredible. And when we talk about the extinction of the chestnuts, of course, we're talking about the survival to a mature stage. There are no surviving mature chestnuts left, essentially. So this is an addendum I'm inserting into this video, because after I hiked a little farther, got down to Chimney Rocks, my camera just ran out after I took this picture. What are we looking at? It's a chestnut hole. The tree next to Chimney Rock had flowered and produced at least one living chestnut. Again, it's a statement to the tenacity of these trees. It's not an immune tree. It's just healthy enough, strong enough, lucky enough to get past the fungus, and it too will succumb. Well, I'm going back on my hike. I'm going to let you go here. Please do check out some of the history research online, the history of the chestnut tree, and check out some books and learn more about it. Much more knowledgeable than me. I'm kind of emotional right now, kind of excited, and I shared some thoughts off the top of my head, but do some more research on that. And thanks for watching this episode of Nature at Your Door. Remember, if you like what I do on this channel, please subscribe, give me a like, and leave me a comment. I love hearing from my viewers. And remember, I cover all things nature, from frogs, toads, snakes, turtles, the myriapoda, insects, trees, wildflowers, and fungi. I cover all the things you might encounter just outside your door. Thanks again for watching this episode of Nature at Your Door, here in the Appalachian Mountains on a ridge where chestnut trees are just resprouting and resprouting.